Welcome to the Free Immigration Help channel. Today is April 22, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 70 of me answering your immigration related questions. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up for today. As always, I'm going to mention, as I mention in every video that I make, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in my videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS, and I'm actually going to go to the main page, and of course the visa bulletin from the Department of State. I definitely recommend everyone, after hearing whatever response that I make in these videos, doing your own research, verifying with the official government sources, just to make sure that you actually verified it with the official source. All right, let's start with the very first one from Shabana Khan. My mother applied for me, unmarried daughter over 21, but I have two kids, one 19 and one is 23. I'm worried about the 23-year-old. Do you think she will be going with me? My priority date is September 2017. My case is F11 NVC. Do calculate her age. My case at NVC, waiting to do payment and upload documents, please. Okay, Shabana, so whenever it comes to the way they classify, right? They classify child, to classify as a child, as a derivative beneficiary, right? So if it's your child, then of course they come with you as a derivative beneficiary, and you don't need to file any separate I-130s, any separate petitions for them. However, the requirement for that derivative beneficiary as a child, you have to be unmarried, under 21 years old. I know it is ridiculous, it's silly, and I could only hope that this would change one day, because a child is a child. Just because they're 21 and next year they're 22, it does not take away the fact that they're your children. But unfortunately, that's not how USCIS, that's not how the Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, and everybody else in the government see it. So in your case, what you'll have to do once you get your once you go through that interview, once you get your I-551, which is a temporary permanent resident card, as soon as you come into the country, once you get the stamp in the port of entry, in the airport, this I-551, I actually done a separate video if you want to check it out and do a little bit more research on it. Once you enter the country, United States, with that immigration visa, it automatically becomes a temporary permanent resident card. So you are, as soon as you enter the country, you are entering the country as a permanent resident. So that very day, as soon as you enter the country, you can file that I-130 petition for your daughter who is over 23. And I would recommend just doing it, as soon as possible. Obviously, you've been through the process yourself. You know how it works. You are familiar with all of the steps. So just as soon as you get in, file that I-130 petition, and of course there will be some processing time that is involved. Unfortunately, we are all dealing with them, and me included. I have a petition myself that I'm waiting on, and I'll have to be waiting on for a very long time. But that would be the best case scenario, because unfortunately, as soon as the child turns over 21, that's it for these people in the government. It's no longer a child, and they can be coming as a derivative beneficiary, and that's really what it is when we are dealing with the I-130 petition. So Shabana, I'm very sorry, I don't really have kind of good news for you, but on the plus side, it will take some time, but still, there is this option, and just make sure to start it as soon as possible. And if you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to come back and ask here on this channel. All right, let's move on to the next one from Molly Agunsoy. I'm very sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. My son priority date is February 4, 2016. Group F2B. No update from USCIS. Okay, Molly, let me take a look at the visa bulletin. This is the most recent visa bulletin issue. It's for May 2023. We're not even in May yet, but here we go, May 2023. Let's look at the priority dates. So you said F2B, and currently it looks like for all chargeability areas, that is, all the countries except China, India, Mexico, Philippines. If it's any of those four, obviously you have the columns for those, but we're going to look at all chargeability area, and it is showing right now January 2017. So let's take a look. You are in February 2016. All right, so you're already a year ahead, so definitely you should have, unless your beneficiary is in one of these categories, which is actually for China looks like it's the same, and India is the same. It's just Mexico and Philippines looks like they're waiting for longer. But according to the visa bulletin, the immigrant visa should already be available. So with that being said, I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask you if you can submit a follow-up comment. Has your case been already approved by USCIS? Because I'm thinking that it already should. It's been a long time and it's a year past what the visa bulletin is showing. So I think at this point, you should definitely be already approved by USCIS. And your case, you should have already a full access to the NVC portal to become documentarily qualified. So a few things that I'm gonna recommend you do. All right, if it is still with USCIS, you can check it. Find your notice of receipt. That's basically the, when you applied, when the initial I-130 was submitted to USCIS, obviously, they have sent you that notice of receipt saying that, hey, we have accepted your case. That's your priority date. That's where you know when the exact priority date is, because that's the date reflected on that notice of receipt. So there is a receipt number on it. Check the case status, and if you don't know, I'll show you how to do it. Might as well use the opportunity to demonstrate some navigation on uscis.gov, which is official government website. So here it is. This is the homepage. You can find the link in the description below of this video. We're gonna click on Tools, and then we're gonna click on Case Status Online right here. So just type in your receipt number right here in this field and see what the status is. It should already be approved, but if it is not, I would recommend reaching out to USCIS. You can submit the case inquiry, and again, I'll show you how to do that. If we scroll down to very bottom, you will see related tools and you will see submit a case inquiry. So just click on that. It'll open up a separate page and you will select case outside normal processing times. But if you check and if USCIS has already approved the case, then it was already transferred to the NVC. And if it is already with NVC, then you need to reach out to the NVC and submit a public inquiry form with the NVC. Because again, your case, judging by visa bulletin, the most recent issue, it's already a year overdue. Now we know that these dates right now, they're being updated. A lot of them are out of date, so don't worry too much that it is showing that it is a year overdue. Most likely you still have about a year and a half to wait for that availability of the immigrant visa, just because of what we know, judging by all the other categories on the visa bulletin and knowing that they have been affected by the closures during the pandemic. So don't be too worried that it's taking a long time. It is really taking a long time, but it's still within normal, and I say normal in quotes because again, it's long, it's not good, it's not normal, but compared to other categories and what we see having that backlog from the pandemic, we know that this is how everything else is. So there is really no need for worry. But at the same time, you do need to find out what's going on, because at this point, regardless whether you still have a year or a year and a half, at this point, USCIS should have already reviewed your application, approved it, and sent it to the NVC. So I would definitely do some research with them first. And then if you can, please, if you can come back and provide an update, that would be helpful, and maybe I could give you a little bit more information. Just make sure, for everyone who's watching the video, please don't respond to my comment within your comment. Just submit a separate comment, because if you respond to my comment in your comment, the YouTube does not send me notification for some reason. All right, let's move on to the next one from Nolawi Hanak. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names again. F4, priority date April 7, 2007, documentarily qualified 2022, says it's current. When will I receive the welcome letter? Nolavi, congratulations. F4 is the siblings of United States citizens, and that is the category that takes absolutely forever. The wait times on those are absolutely ridiculous. And we can see for Nolawi since 2007. Unbelievable. You know, you're inviting your brother, your sister, and you yourself as a US citizen, and you waiting for so long. This is just, it's crazy. It's really sad. But on the plus side, Nolavi, congratulations on being documentarily qualified. It's huge. You got documentarily qualified in 22, which means that your immigrant visa should already be available, all right? And in fact, if we look at the visa bulletin for F4, we see that it's definitely according to the visa bulletin. But again, the backlog from the pandemic, that's why these numbers, they're still being updated. We will see more accurate numbers in the next few months, but as of right now, it's still kind of guesswork. A lot of it is guesswork. But here's the thing, you can do a few things, all right? First of all, because you are documentarily qualified, and because it is showing in the visa bulletin that your immigrant visa should already be available, you can submit an expedited request with NVC, telling them, because that's the two requirements, right? Documentarily qualified and immigrant visa should be available. And it is, according to the visa bulletin, again, according to their own source. But to give you very rough estimates on when you should expect your interview, if you're documentarily qualified in 2022, right now from the F2A category, which was current, until the whole pandemic closures and everything, we know that the people that are documentarily qualified are waiting about 2.5 years for their interview. So if you were documentarily qualified in 2022, roughly you should expect your interview to be somewhere in the beginning of 2024, all right? But it's a very rough estimate because I think this interview backlog, right? Not the immigrant visa backlog. It's a little bit different. I call it an artificial backlog because it was caused by the closures during the pandemic. This artificial backlog, I think it will be moving faster. We will see those numbers come down pretty quick. Why? Because again, there is no limitation that we're dealing with. We are literally just dealing with US embassies trying to catch up with all the people waiting for their immigrant visa interview. So I think it's going to be faster for you. The only thing really that I would recommend in your situation is submitting that expedited request. Most of the times NVC denies them, but we're doing it somewhat for a greater good, submitting those expedited requests. Why? Because we show to NVC that, hey, according to your own source, visa bulletin that you provide, my visa is current. Why is it not being scheduled? Can you please schedule? Polite, professional, but at the same time, we are reminding them that you either provide us the correct dates on the visa bulletin, or you actually process my case and, schedule my interview. So it's good to let them know. It's good to kind of give them that nudge to, do your job, basically. All right, let's move on to the next one from Anwar. I applied for my brother and sister 2009. Got the approval in 2015. Okay, so I'm assuming that's for I-130, so 2009. And looks like the visa bulletin, yeah, so it's for all chargeability areas, February 2008. So I'm thinking, Anwar, you should be getting already the full access to the NVC portal to get them, to have them documentarily qualified, because you're very, very close, judging again by the visa bulletin, which again, the numbers are updating. This is not like super accurate. But at the same time, still judging by this, you're just 1 year away. So I'm thinking they might have already opened the access to the portal. But if not, then they definitely should be opening up the full access to the NVC portal to become documentarily qualified. But congratulations on the approval. I have myself I-130 petition that I'm waiting for in F4 category for my brother, and I haven't even gotten the approval from USCIS yet, and I'll be waiting for a long time. Both of us will be waiting for a long time for that, because it was much more recent than 2009. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Sainikil Yarlagada. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. Hi, I applied I-539 and USCIS rejected application saying that you must sign in signature block if you're 14 years or old, and place where you must sign if you are 14 years or old, the signature of the person preparing form. May I know where's the signature of the person preparing form? Is it 6A or the preparer's signature? Okay, so Sankil, I'm assuming that you are filing I-539 for your child who is 14 years old. So yes, in those situations where you're preparing, obviously, a parent preparing for it's silly. Honestly, USCIS, it's ridiculous to reject the whole application just because of that. Obviously, it's the parent helping the child prepare the form. Why state the obvious? I don't get it, but whatever. I'm not gonna get into it. But yes, it's the preparer signature is all the way down to the bottom. There is a preparer signature, there is interpreter signature. You need the preparer. So just fill out your information in the preparer, sign it at the very bottom, at the very end. And yeah, I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. Honestly, this is not fair. I mean, obviously, when you get an application from a child, obviously it's the parent helping the child to prepare the form. Why state the obvious? I sometimes I feel like USCIS, Department of State, they just, sometimes they feel like there's not enough work in front of them. They have to do petty stuff like this and reject applications for absolutely ridiculous things. Whatever. Let's move on to the next one from Harbir Narwal. Thanks. You're very welcome, Harbir. I'm glad this is helpful. Moving further to Patience Sula. Hello, I am filing 130. I'm assuming I-130 for my wife, and we had a baby after I-130 has been filled. I plan on getting CRBA. Would I still need to file I-130 for the baby? Well, Patience, first of all, congratulations on the baby. So definitely, if you're a U.S. citizen, definitely do file that CRBA. And basically CRBA, I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's basically for the for babies who are born abroad of U.S. citizens. So basically you're letting the government know that you are a U.S. citizen and that you had a child that was born abroad, and basically letting them know that they are now U.S. citizen as well. But no, you don't need to file a separate I-130 regardless whether you do file the CRBA or not. You don't need it because the baby will be as a derivative. All right, the only thing I would do, depending on which stage of the process your application is at, if it's still with USCIS, I would reach out to USCIS and ask them, hey, I need to update my application and I want to include my newborn baby, not as a derivative beneficiary necessarily, but just for their own information, knowing that it's not just going to be your wife, it's also, wife and a baby. Or if it's with NVC, obviously the same thing you would do with NVC, reach out to them. But no, you don't need to worry about the separate I-130. So I'm going to post this before I forget, and we're going to move on to the next one from Vahag. Why? Vahag, I remember you were asking me a question. So let's see, the problem is my passport has been expired from another country and I'm sort of stuck in a limbo at the moment. I see, Vahag. Okay, so in your situation, it's not the refugee travel document, because I think that's what you were asking me about. It was a refugee travel document that you were applying, and then you told me that you have a permanent residence. Here's the thing. Whenever it comes to air travel, we need the passport, right? The permanent residence is obviously for, the entry into the United States. You're not going to have the problems entering the United States regardless. The problem is going to be actually traveling. So, whatever country that you had your passport from, and wherever you are, right? You're abroad, obviously, and you want to come back to the United States. I would recommend finding the embassy of your country where your passport is from, where you are, in the country where you are, unless you are in that country right now. A lot of times embassies, they are able to issue like a temporary passport, something that you can travel, all right? unless they can issue you, unless you can apply for a new passport and it's a quick process, really it's really hard to tell, because literally every country with their own embassy, they have different rules. Like, for example, the country where I'm from, if you go to their embassy here in the United States of America and try to apply for a new passport, I think maybe now they actually do issue new passports here, but before, maybe just like 5 years ago, they wouldn't do it. They would issue you a little paper with which you can travel back to that country and then apply for a new passport, but they wouldn't actually give you the passport. So I would do the research on that. If you can get that kind of like a temporary something that substitutes your existing passport from that country, so that at least you can, air travel. But you're not gonna have problems. You shouldn't have any problems entering United States. Why? Because you are a permanent resident, and as a permanent resident, it's no problems at all. You don't need to worry about the refugee travel document. But thank you for the follow-up comment. I really appreciate it, and I hope you can figure it out. If you have any follow-up questions, let me know. I will be happy to address them the best I can. All right, let's move on to the next one. From Never Give Up, smiley face, how are you? I hope you're fine. I'm persecuted in my country and I'm looking for people to sponsor me to go to America as a refugee. Is it possible to help me, please? Never give up. I'm very sorry that you're experiencing this. It's a tough one. It's a tough comment. There are a few programs right now that are being offered as a humanitarian programs from USCIS, from the Immigration Services, specifically for countries that do have the distress. And those countries are, we have Ukraine, and we also have a few Latin American countries, Nicaragua, Honduras, Venezuela, and I think it is Cuba, if I'm correct. You can find that information. If you're from one of those countries, then yes, there is a program specifically for the nationals of those countries, and basically anybody in the US, they can file a petition for you and sponsor you to come into the United States of America. If you are not from those countries, however, you will have to do more research and see if there are any special, like for example, there are countries like Somali. There is a program for them. It's called temporary protected status, but you would have to be already in the United States to apply for it. So in other words, if there isn't any kind of program like that, you would have to find a way to actually come into the United States of America first, and then file these applications, whether it's temporary protected status, asylum application, or something along those lines, unless you are able to find something that is, because a lot of times there are organizations, like for example, in Africa, they have what is it? Something. Basically, it's kind of like they work with USCIS, but they don't. But they're not. They're not a government organization. They are basically kind of one of those like world non-profit charitable organizations, and there is a program, a refugee program. Not I wouldn't really call it a refugee program, but it kind of acts as a refugee program, where you go, you submit the application, you wait quite a long time, and then you go through the interview, and then there is a chance for you to come into the United States. In your case, I wouldn't think it's a good option. Why? Because again, you have to be dealing with waiting time. If you're being persecuted right now, if your life is in danger right now, there is no time for you to wait. You need to figure out the way to just get out of there, get out of the situation right now, and then basically deal with whatever the next step is. So my recommendation for you is get out of danger as fast as possible, and then as you go, I think you will see more options open up in front of you, and then you will be able to make the choice. But never give up. This is good name, and I can relate personally. I know how it feels. To go through this. So maintain that attitude, and keep searching, keep doing your research, and just one step at a time, and you will be able to go through this. You will be able to, if you don't give up, if you have faith, you will get through it. All right, let's move on to the next one. From Johnny Praise. When I click on File Online under I-765, it continues to take me to the inbox. Any advice? Johnny, let's take a look. Let's take a look. I'm gonna go to the. Might as well use this as an opportunity to again demonstrate some navigation on USCIS website. If you want to find all of the forms on USCIS, whatever immigration form, application, petition, click on forms, all forms, and there you go. These are all the forms. You can scroll down in a numerical, alphabetical order, everything, and find it, or you can just type it up here. 765 application for employment authorization. We're going to click on this, and I'm going to click on File Online. Okay, forms available to file online. That's weird. I don't know why it took me here. It makes no sense. It should just take me to, okay, I'll click this. Okay, so it takes me to my account. So within your account, I'm thinking when you log into your account, unless they did any changes, I haven't logged into my online account for a while, but I'll actually log into it after I'm done with this video, and I will see that, because I'm thinking that it might be just the link is just because you're already logged into your account, it might be taking you to the inbox, and out of the inbox, if you can get out to the main page, because that's where all of these, the drop down, your existing applications, and if you want to start a new application, the drop down for new applications is on the main page. So maybe it's just taking you to the inbox because that's the last place that you were. I'm thinking maybe it's like the browser issue. That's just the last page that was saved for that link. But give it a shot, and I'll also try on my end, and I'll see if it does the same thing. I don't have the I-765 application, but I do have the I-130 application, so technically it should be just should be the same thing, but we'll see. All right, let's move on to the next one from Maritas Ramos. I need the volume 69. Volume 69, Maritas, is already uploaded. I'm gonna post this. It's already uploaded. Actually, do I really need to say that? I don't think I need to say that. I'll just type it up. It is already uploaded. So whenever I do these videos, I'm gonna explain just so that you kind of know the process. Right now it's 2 p.m. I'm recording this video. Once I'm done recording it, I'm gonna it will take some time to finish uploading and finish processing on YouTube, and so that's why you don't see it immediately come up on YouTube. Once it's done uploading, once it's done processing, I give it a couple of hours, and that's why you see the videos go live, these volumes, at 6 p.m. Because I know that by 6 p.m. this video is definitely going to be done processing and uploading. If I post it too fast, I've tried to do that before, where I was actually doing live. I was just going live and answering the questions. And it's good because I can interact with people live. But at the same time, it wasn't good because I had questions in the chat and I had questions in the comments, and it's like, which one do I want to address? And that becomes kind of a mess. But there was another problem. Another problem was that when I was doing stuff live, the quality of the video was bad. So when you're looking, for example, at all the stuff that I'm doing like this, you don't see it like I see it in a good quality. You see it all blurry and you can't really read anything. So that's why I decided to do it this way. So now there's about 2 hours delay between the video and the actual premiere of this video. So if you got a response from me saying, hey, thank you, your question was answered in volume whatever, and the volume is not there yet, just give it a couple of hours. 6 p.m. most likely Eastern time is going to be going live. All right, let's move on to probably our last question for today from Ruth Ray. Can Nigerians seek asylum in the United States? Yes, absolutely. So basically, asylum is not restricted for any specific area or anything like this. Anyone, literally anyone, can claim asylum. The only requirement for claiming asylum is that you have to be in the United States of America. Well, obviously, besides, being persecuted based on, political affiliation, based on religious beliefs, based on belonging on a certain group, right? But, if you are persecuted and you need to claim asylum, the requirement to claim the asylum is you have to be present, you have to be on the territory of the United States of America. So yes, definitely, whether Nigerians, whether Russians, whether Australians, whether, I don't know, whoever you are, if you're in the United States and you're being persecuted by the government or by a certain group in that country, you can claim asylum here in the United States of America. Alright everyone, thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching this video. If you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comments below, and I will be happy to address them. Just please make sure not to reply to my comment, because I don't see those. YouTube does not give me notifications. So thank you for your time. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.